Have you ever just felt completely, totally overwhelmed? Like your life is this runaway train and you're not even in the driver's seat. If you're feeling drained, maybe a little resentful, and just pulled in a million different directions, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dive into the ideas from the incredible book Boundaries, and it's all about how you can take back the controls.
So to really get what this looks like in the real world, let's meet someone who, well, she might feel a little too familiar. Her name is Sherry, and her story is basically a masterclass in what a life without boundaries actually feels like, day in and day out.
Okay, so picture this. Sherry's day starts with a pit in her stomach. She has to finish sewing a costume for her daughter. But then an unexpected visit from her mom, who is an absolute pro at guilt trips, completely hijacks her entire morning.
And of course, because her morning got totally derailed, she's now scrambling into a super important executive meeting late. She's trying to sneak in, be invisible, but you can feel every single eye on you. It's that awful, sinking feeling of just being constantly one step behind.
And just when she thinks she can grab a sandwich and breathe for 5 minutes, the phone rings. It's her friend Lois, who, you guessed it, is always in the middle of some catastrophe. Sherry does her duty, she listens, she consoles, but she's sacrificing her own break and honestly feels more like a free therapist than a friend.
You see the pattern here, right? Sherry is completely trapped in a life of yes. It's a yes to her mom's guilt, a yes to her friend's constant drama, a yes to her husband's temper just to keep the peace. Everyone else's needs, their emergencies, their demands. They are just constantly steamrolling her own.
By the end of the day, she is just done. She's way past exhausted, she's resentful, she feels totally alone, and in this really quiet, desperate moment, she prays this heartbreaking prayer. She just feels abandoned, wondering what she's doing so wrong.
So what is the real problem here? It's not like Sherry is a bad person, right? She is trying so hard to be loving and responsible and do all the right things. The book argues that her core issue isn't about effort at all. It's a deep, fundamental confusion about what she truly owns versus what she is simply responsible to.
And that confusion brings us to the absolute core solution in this book, a concept so powerful it can totally reframe how you see, everything. We're talking about personal boundaries.
Just think about it like this. You know how a fence marks the edge of a piece of property? It shows where your yard ends and your neighbor's begins. Well, personal boundaries are those same kinds of lines, but they're invisible. They show where you end and someone else begins, and they make it crystal clear what's yours to take care of and what's not.
Now, this is such a key distinction. Healthy boundaries are not walls that lock you away from everyone. No, they're more like fences. Fences that have gates. They're designed to keep the bad stuff out, like disrespect or being taken advantage of. But those gates are there so you can swing them wide open to let the good things in, like love and support and real connection.
And here's the principle that changes everything. We are responsible to other people, but we are only responsible for ourselves. The book has this amazing metaphor for this. It says, look, we should help people with their boulders, those massive, life-crushing crises they just can't carry alone. But we each have to carry our own knapsack. Our daily feelings, our attitudes, our choices, our behaviors, that's on us.
Okay, so this idea naturally leads to 4 pretty common types of boundary problems. And as we go through them, just see if you recognize yourself or maybe someone you know in one of these patterns. It's kind of like a quick diagnostic.
This little chart breaks down the 4 main problem areas so clearly, and it all boils down to how we handle 2 tiny words, yes and no. The vertical axis is about your ability to say them. The horizontal axis is about your ability to hear them from other people. So just take a second. Where do you think you might fall on this grid?
So let's just quickly meet the cast of characters. You've got the compliant, who says yes to bad things out of fear of conflict or losing love. Then there's the avoidant, who says no to good things, unable to ask for or receive help. The controller just can't stand hearing the word no and will push past your limits. And finally, the non-responsive, who just doesn't hear the needs of others at all.
So where in the world do these patterns even come from? Well, the book makes it really clear that these aren't just personality quirks we're born with. They are skills, or, a lack of skills, that actually start developing from our very first days of life.
This is such a powerful and hopeful idea. You aren't born with good or bad boundaries. They are built, piece by piece, brick by brick, through your relationships, especially your earliest ones. And you know what the best part of that is?
anything that was built can also be repaired and rebuilt.
So this process starts with bonding, that foundational feeling of I'm safe, I'm welcome. But then comes separation, and it happens in stages. First is hatching, when a baby realizes, whoa, mom and I are actually two different people. Then comes practicing, that glorious toddler phase of I can do anything, and they run everywhere. And finally, there's a stage called rapprochement, which is really just the toddler's tough but super necessary realization that, okay, maybe I can't do everything on my own after all.
And that, right there, is the heart of it. To have a healthy sense of me, a real self, you first have to understand what is not me. You have to separate. It's in that process of differentiating from others that we actually discover who we are.
Okay, wow, we have covered a lot of ground, right? From Sherry's disastrous day all the way to the psychology of being a toddler. So after all of that, what's the one single most important thing to take away from all of this?
If there is only one thing you remember, let it be this. Setting a boundary is not a selfish act. It is an act of stewardship. It's about responsible ownership. It means you're taking care of the precious things God has given you. Your time, your energy, your talents, your heart. It's about properly managing the one amazing life you've been given.
And so that leaves us with one final, very powerful question to think about. Looking at your own life, at your own property lines, what is the first no you need to say so that you can finally start saying yes to a life that you actually own?